Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in the hills, there lived a young girl named Ferda. Ferda had grown up in a loving family, and she was known throughout the village for her kind heart and gentle spirit. One day, a wealthy merchant arrived in the village, seeking a wife. He was taken with Ferda's beauty and charm, and he asked her to marry him. Ferda was hesitant at first, but the merchant promised her a life of luxury and comfort, and she eventually agreed to become his wife. The merchant kept his promise, showering Ferda with gifts and fine things. They lived in a grand mansion, and Ferda wanted for nothing. But despite all the comforts and luxuries she enjoyed, Ferda was unhappy. She missed her family and the simple pleasures of village life. She longed for the days when she could run barefoot through the fields and spend hours talking with her friends. She tried to talk to her husband about her feelings, but he was always busy with his business dealings and paid little attention to her. One day, Ferda received word that her mother was gravely ill. She begged her husband to let her go see her, but he refused. He told her that it was too dangerous for her to leave the safety of their mansion, and that he would send someone to check on her mother. Ferda knew that her husband was lying, and she was filled with a sense of despair. She missed her mother terribly, and she couldn't bear the thought of losing her. In a moment of desperation, Ferda made a promise to herself. She promised that if her mother died, she would leave her husband and return to her village. Days turned into weeks, and Ferda received no news of her mother. She grew increasingly anxious, and her husband became more and more distant. Finally, a messenger arrived with the news that Ferda's mother had passed away. Ferda was devastated. She knew that her promise would require her to leave behind all the comfort and luxury that her husband had provided for her, but she also knew that she couldn't stay with him any longer. She packed a small bag and set out on foot down the lonely road that wound through the hills. As Ferda walked, she thought about the broken promise she had made to her husband. She knew that he had been good to her, and that she had betrayed his trust. But she also knew that she had made the promise out of love for her mother, and that she couldn't have done anything differently. As the days went by, Ferda's journey grew more difficult. She faced many hardships, and she often thought about turning back. But she also knew that she couldn't go back to the life she had left behind. She had to keep moving forward, no matter how hard the road ahead might be. Finally, Ferda arrived back in her village. She was tired and worn, but she was also filled with a sense of peace. She realized that true happiness couldn't be found in material possessions or wealth, but in the love and connection she shared with others. Ferda knew that she had broken a promise, but she also knew that she had kept a more important promise, the one she had made to herself. She had promised to follow her heart, even when it led her down a difficult path. And in the end, she found that the only promises that truly mattered were the ones she made to herself. The moral of this story is that we must be true to ourselves, even when it means breaking a promise to someone else. We must have the courage to follow our hearts, even when it means leaving behind comfort and security. We must remember that the promises we make to ourselves are the most important promises of all, and that true happiness. Thank you for watching. And stay alive.